Welcome to episode 34, Paul Graham 10 Lessons. This is an outline of episode 34. Lesson number 1, solve the problem of founders waiting forever.
The origin, did you start Y Combinator for those?
Jessica was talking to this VC fund about becoming their VP of marketing. And the VCs were taking so long to make up their minds. I said, fuck them, we'll just start our own thing, right? So if that VC fund in Boston had not been so typically slow moving, Y Combinator would never have existed.
Lesson number 2, solve the problem of funding gap.
Started in the same way that a startup is started, where Paul and I had this idea. We really felt that the investment world was broken. If you were an early stage startup and you just wanted to test something out, you either had to go to a VC and get $5 million, which is virtually impossible at that early stage, or you had to know someone who was rich and could give you money. And we thought there could be something better. We thought there could be a standardized, branded form of funding. So if you wanted $25,000 or whatever, you could come to Y Combinator, and we'd make it very easy for you.
Lesson number 3, make the application simple and efficient.
Let's fund a whole bunch of companies at once, and we'll learn a lot. So we set up a website, posted an application. We wanted to change a few specific things. We wanted to make it very easy for people to find us and apply. They didn't have to have a connection to us. We had an application of 20 questions. We wanted to make it very simple on our side. We're giving you $12,000, per startup, or $18,000 if you had 3 founders, but it was a very specific amount for this amount of stock, and our paperwork is going to be real straightforward. You can see it in advance, and we're going to make the decision that day. We'll interview you and tell you that night, and that never happened back before us. No one got a same-day decision for the most part.
Lesson number 4, number 1 reason startup died, founders dispute. Lesson number 5, startup died of worry from competitors.
And so people were like, oh, this is going to be, Google's going to win. This is a joke. Pulled their term sheets. Google was 3 years late on their product, and at that point, Dropbox was off. So don't worry about, I think, previous failures or potential new competitors, I think, is the takeaway. It's just if you believe in the product and the market is there, you can still win.
Lesson number 6, startup died of trough of sorrow.
Life cycle of a startup, and it's so true. Everybody goes through this. You launch your company, you get a lot of attention, you get this big spike, but it really doesn't matter, because a week later, you realize that everyone's attention has moved on, you're not really relevant, who cares? And unfortunately, that's the beginning of something called the trough of sorrow. And this is the worst. It's a really hard period where you work really hard and nothing you do matters. It's very demoralizing.
Lesson number 7, ideology 1, focus on product.
So what have you observed the very best companies do when they're brand new?
Well, I've now seen more than 1,000 companies go through YC, so I'm very familiar with what these companies do during YC. Silicon Valley for 3 months. The most successful founders I've noticed are totally focused on 2 things: building their product and making something people want, which of course is our motto, and talking to their users. And they do not let themselves get distracted by anything else. And that seems so obvious, but what's not obvious is how easily distracted founders can be by lots of other things going on. And the most successful startups are hyper-focused on their product.
Lesson number 8, ideology 2, focus on talking to the users. Lesson number 9, ideology 3, determination over intelligence. Be flexible.
The most important traits of the most successful founders. I've already mentioned determination. That more than previous success, in school. Remember when we started Y Combinator, our hypothesis was, oh, we'll just fund all the best hackers from MIT and Harvard, and they'll turn out to be great startup founders. That is not true. That is absolutely not true. A lot of them are good. And in fact, Patrick was from MIT, but sort of understanding your users and building a product with a great user experience is second most important. Not being distracted, not getting lured down these paths that aren't going to be important for building your product. Being flexible-minded, I've always felt is very important, because you have this idea and you test it out and it doesn't always work the first time, and so you have to be able to say, okay, I thought I was going to do this, but let's try this. Even though I have like a lot of energy vested in this, let's try this direction. You really have to be open-minded.
Lesson number 10, be nice and kind to everyone. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe and leave your comments and questions below. Wishing everyone peace and prosperity.